My father always said I must have been born under a lucky star. It was a summer morning when I came into the world, and my mother always told me that in my eyes, from the very first moment, she saw fire. Mine was a noble family in Rome. My father was powerful, my brothers important, and I had been destined for a better life. There were few greater honors for a little girl, and I, young and naive, could not wish for more. They told me that I had been chosen by Vesta to be a humble servant. And for me, fire was life, home, a purpose for my little existence. And I watched it burn, consume, and I smiled a lot. We were made of the same substance. Then he came. He was cold, who was death. He never asked. He just took, and took again. And I was fire. Felt like ashes in his arms. And I couldn't take it anymore. I told everything. But no one pitied me. Not even my goddess. My family did not shed tears. She is not our daughter, they said. And I, who was fire, got buried in the cold and dead earth. Which
My husband always told me that I were the scent of the earth. Earth that is food, that is rain, that is moss, that is fog. The earth that is grass and that is cure. Cure that's opposed, medicine that is said to be wicked, cure that is hexed. Men fear what they do not understand. Not even the love of my life understood. It did not understand that the earth was the solution, and that I was the earth, and the earth with which I healed people, with which I knew how to heal a back pain or a migraine, with which I soothed the pain of mourning, homesickness, a fear of the dark. I was in the cries of the sick, in the gasps of a mother, in the wailings of a newborn. Love has many forms: a touch, a smile, a look, an act of insane trust. That's why I healed people. This is why when my husband fell ill with an illness considered incurable, I tried to save him. It was an act of insane trust, for love, for fear. And maybe it was his love for my scent of earth, or fear of the earth itself, of what it was. And perhaps it was for an act of insane trust, of love, of fear, that he set me on fire. Which?
I met my lover whole of a lake. It was the wind that carried him. For years I had tried to make an happy marriage work. I who was warm water in my hunchback clumsy hands. He who was cold water in my tired eyes. I had always dreamed as a child of marrying a respectable man, of having a big house and many children. When my family told me they had found a good match, I was over the moon. He was tall and young and handsome, and he didn't love me, not all. Like a water, I tried to change shape, to adapt, to quench his thirst, to cure him. I really wanted to be like a fairy tale. I loved by a man I loved. The two of us happy forever. And I swore I try again and again until I ran out of breath. Then he left. I swear he didn't come back forever. But this is not the case. I met my lover all of a lake. It was the wind that carried him, and the wind took him back when I got pregnant. Back from a 3 years journey, my hunchback found a newborn child, son of wind, in my arms. And much as was the pride, that's the truth, counted no more. And the son was no longer of a man, but of devil. And I with a rough necklet only, was caused by the wind, until I ran out of bread, which
I've always loved the feel of veil on my face, wind in my hair. That short moment of freedom before returning to a suffocating house, which take your breath away directly from your lungs. At 17, I began to protest for what I found was right, for my rights, for what that I found essential. And for me, it was essential to scream, to run, to feel part of something bigger than me. 1968 was a complicated year. I was carried away by the wind and I listened to the cries of the people. They stood in my pains and they made me forget about myself. The stand of insurrection was my most beloved campaign. But the family hated that about me. I was not decent. They were calm waters and I didn't understand the swirling movement of the air. My relatives called me with unflattering terms. And I can still hear in my mind that words. It is not decent. And I knew that they hate me. And then one day, the rain came and didn't stop anymore. The streets were rivers and all was water's domain. And when I felt carried away by the strings, the hand that could have taken me did not stray. The wind doesn't reach underwater. Air cannot exist in his kingdom. Which?
2016. It's the year in which I met her for the first time. Everyone thought that we were the perfect couple. We seemed straight out of a sitcom. With the perfect house, perfect kids, and the perfect marriage. And I had the perfect job. My life was fulfilled. And her lips every night was red like roses. We were genuinely happy and nothing could stop our life from being simply awesome. But times change, people do too. Problems always existed, but with time they got bigger and bigger. But the biggest problem of all was that I couldn't control them. In front of them I realized more and more how insignificant I was. So the conviction of being weak and useless prevailed on my self-esteem. No way of solving this, no way of finding my ancient strength and pride. There was only one solution. I had to find someone to prevail on again. But everything in the world seemed to be stronger than me. But I realized there was a tiny world in the real world where I could still be the boss, and that world was my home. I began with only bad words, just some verbal ways to impose my superiority, but it wasn't enough. My wife was comprehensively surprised by my new behavior, and she started to answer back to my offenses, so I adopted an intense shock therapy. Words became facts, yells became strokes, and that worked. I was the boss, the king, and she was only the inferior witch.